What's good, guys? This week we've got an update on space tourism and also a whole lot of commentary on freedom of speech, defending the values of science, and some updates on Venus exploration, nuclear clocks, and genetically modified bugs. Jeff Bezos has announced he's going on a little trip next month to space. This flight has been planned for a long time, but recently his company Blue Origin had their dress rehearsal and everything is looking set to launch on July 20, which coincidentally is my 30th birthday. It's going to be a family affair with his brother Mark joining him, and there's room for a third person, so if you've got a spare $3 million. The third ticket is currently under auction, which ends in 2 days, so get cracking. Bezos has named his new ship New Shepard after the astronaut Alan Shepard, who was the first American in space. Check out the images of the craft, it's pretty incredible. It's designed for tourism with massive windows and comfortable seating for up to 6 people. The trip is also really short, only 10 minutes, and Jeff will be the first person to travel to space on his own rocket. Okay, now onto some more serious stuff. The mother of third wave feminism, Naomi Wolf, is the latest blue check to be permanently banned from Twitter. Wolf is most famous for her 1990 book, The Beauty Myth, which argues that the patriarchy subjugates women by dictating beauty standards. This is now a key belief for some people, so you'd think they should be clear of cancel culture, right? Well, it's not so simple. Wolf got into trouble for questioning the efficacy of lockdowns and vaccines. To be honest, these aren't the only conspiratorial beliefs that she expressed. She also previously expressed concerns about 5G. Okay, so I think most of us would disagree with Wolf's conspiracies, and you may even consider her beliefs to be dangerous. But should she be permanently banned from Twitter? Isn't it better to have unscientific claims aired in the open so that we can show all the ways in which they're wrong? It's a tricky issue with no clear-cut solution. So let us know what you think in the comments below. Or if you'd rather not be cancelled, you can shoot me a DM. This same question was posed to Peter Singer last week when he appeared on the Unheard podcast. Peter responded by saying that freedom of speech should be upheld on social media, even for inaccurate speech. Take into consideration the fact that Twitter and Facebook are basically monopolies, which have to account for a whole world of different people and opinions. In print media, you can have a niche publication, like a Christian magazine, for example. It makes sense that they wouldn't allow anti-Christian speech in it. But if you want to speak on a global scale, Twitter and Facebook are pretty much your only options, which makes it very serious when people are permanently banned. More to the point, Peter brought up the fact that social media sites take no responsibility for defamatory speech. For example, if you wrote something defamatory about me in a newspaper, I'd have legal recourse. But if you wrote it in a tweet, I'd have no chance. Should social media sites be held accountable for hosting defamatory speech? Also in Peter News, in our latest blog post from Peter's charity For Life You Can Save, we explore how extreme global poverty can be tackled through effective giving. Take, for example, the Restoring of Sight. $50,000 can provide one person in the US a seeing eye dog, or it can help 1,000 people in poverty. COVID is expected to make the poor even poorer, yet we Australians have accumulated extra cash due to the pandemic. Take a read of Peter's most recommended charities based on how much of an impact each dollar has. Now, before we get into some science news, let's appreciate the fact that we wouldn't have any of these incredible scientific studies if it wasn't for the importance we place on empirical scientific knowledge. This is knowledge that is based on verifiable observations, not just theory. In a poignant essay released in Quillette last week, friend of Think Inc. and theoretical physicist Lawrence Krauss wrote a fabulous defense of the universal values of science. He writes about how some postmodernists have labeled the scientific model as racist, colonial, and sexist, and lists a few of those examples in his piece. Postmodernists seem to overlook the fact that modern science wouldn't be where it is today without the Arabic algebra or Chinese astronomy that it was built upon. Science knows no geographic boundaries, and every week we bring you science news from all corners of the globe. So why are these distorted depictions of science being allowed in universities? Or maybe you think Krauss has got it wrong and that there's good reason to bring race and gender into science. Let us know in the comments below. Okay, now for some timely news about time. Sorry, that was a dad joke, but have you ever considered if stopping time was actually plausible? Answering the question requires a deep dive into physics, philosophy, and human perception. First, we must define time with a little help from our friend and theoretical physicist Sean Carroll, who says that time is just a label on different parts of the universe. It tells us when something is happening. Einstein's theory of relativity shows that time can get warped by gravity, for example, but that difference in relativity doesn't actually signify the stopping of time. As Carroll states, If time stopped, all motion would stop as well, including the moving of air, etc. In terms of physics, it sounds pretty far-fetched, but psychologically it's possible, and it's called chronostasis. It happens when you glance at a clock and then stare at something else before looking back, focusing on the second hand. If done correctly, it will appear that the second hand is frozen in time. Has that ever happened to you before? Speaking of clocks, scientists are trying to make them nuclear. If physicists can build nuclear clocks, they might make the most precise timepieces yet. We already have atomic clocks that rely on the behavior of atoms' electrons, but if we could make one based on atomic nuclei, it would be far more precise. Nuclear clocks could let researchers devise new tests to see where the fundamental constraints of nature, for example the gravitational constant or the speed of light, vary over time. They could even be used to search for dark matter, which may tweak the clicking of the clock. How exciting is that? Some other science news to get excited about is that NASA has announced its plans to launch 2 new scientific missions to our mysterious neighbor, Venus. The first mission is called Da Vinci Plus, and it's going to measure the composition of the Venusian atmosphere to see how it developed. The second mission, Veritas, will map the planet's surface to investigate its geological history and unveil the reasons why it developed so differently to Earth. Traditionally, Venus has been really tricky to explore due to its thick clouds of toxic sulfuric acid and its insane surface temperatures, which can reach 471 degrees Celsius. You'd think that the possibility of life on Venus would be next to nothing, but last year scientists detected a gas phosphine, which suggested there's a chance. What do you think scientists might find on Venus? What do you think the most dangerous animal in the world is? It's not a shark nor a snake. It's a mosquito. Mosquitoes kill a whopping 1 million people every year due to their ability to quickly spread dangerous diseases. Well, scientists have recently reached a breakthrough with 2 of the most deadly diseases, Zika and dengue fever. Biotech company Oxitec have genetically engineered mosquitoes so that male bugs who don't bite pass on faulty genes which make their female offsprings die when they're only at the larvae stage. Over time, more and more females die and the swarms disappear, all without the need for insecticides. How great is that? Comment below if you think we should know about any other recent scientific breakthroughs. We'd love to hear from you. In the meanwhile, that's it guys. Hope you all have a great week and we'll see you next Tuesday. One love.